Live as live can be. Yes. So, hello everyone and welcome to another episode of GodSaw's Turnbuckle, the wrestling video podcast I run here on YouTube.com. We are currently still looking into other avenues. I just gotta kind of pick whether or not I want to do an audio podcast and where I will be doing said audio podcast from at that point in time. But we're not here to talk about that. This is pretty much everything that happened over the last week and weekend, really, from professional wrestling. We had some interesting developments. We'll go ahead and start on the wrestling news side before we get into Raw, SmackDown, and NXT recaps. So on news side, we had last weekend, it was a crazy weekend for wrestling. Not only did you have NXT TakeOver, which probably developed one of potentially the match of the year, not just in WWE side, but all promotions side. But also you had the Royal Rumble on that to go along with that. That was all on WWE side. But New Japan as well had two shows called New Beginnings, and we had some developments over there as well. For one, on Saturday's edition, actually it was more Friday's edition. No, it was Saturday. It was Saturday for them. It would be Saturday morning for us at that point in time. That you had a development that Minoru Suzuki beat Tanahashi for the Intercontinental title. And it was one of those areas of, you know, like fans were distraught, everything on that side because, you know, their hero. Tanahashi's like more almost like the John Cena. He's considered the ace of New Japan. So he's almost like John Cena, except for the fact that he's loved by pretty much everybody over there, where Cena not so much over here in the States. I don't know if he would ever be able to be like that over here as well. I don't fully know, because I'm still a little new to New Japan on that side of everything. But it was a very good match. Where basically they have been playing off of Tanahashi's injuries over the last year, and it's been kind of long-term booking in terms of him being injured throughout the time, and Minoru Suzuki kind of just fully taking advantage of that. And it wasn't an aspect that he gave up or anything. It was more of an aspect that the referee was like, okay, you're in complete trouble here, I'm stopping the match. So you have a new Intercontinental Champion for New Japan Pro Wrestling and Minoru Suzuki to go along with everything. It also was kind of a thing that usually Suzuki-gun comes out and helps. No help in this one. This was completely clean, like a complete clean victory to go along with it. So that was one of the developments that happened on Saturday's New Beginnings. The second development that is now happening was that Jay White beat Kenny Omega for the IWGP not Intercontinental, but US title. So now we've had our second US champion for New Japan Pro Wrestling. But right afterwards, we had I'm forgetting who actually challenged Jay White afterwards. Oh yeah, it was Hangman Page. Hangman Page challenged him afterwards, so Kenny Omega was kind of getting all up in his face about, you know, not getting his rematch, not getting his time to be able to try to get the belt back, while, you know, the rest of the Bullet Club's kind of trying to calm him down because this was Hangman Page's moment and Jay White's moment. It was like, okay, you shouldn't be taking this from them. This eventually caused Kenny Omega to accidentally knock down Matt Jackson of the Young Bucks, and kind of got them going away. And then Cody Rhodes gave him the Crossroads right afterwards to kind of solidify, is Kenny Omega out of the Bullet Club? Are we getting a new leader? What's going on here? We're getting some storytelling to go along with this afterwards. So it looked like you had Marty Scurll, Cody Rhodes, and someone else. I don't remember off the top of my head in the ring. And eventually Kota Ibushi comes down to make the save, clears the ring, and basically saves Kenny Omega. And apparently they were a team at one point in time. So again, new to New Japan and everything on that side. I think they call themselves the Golden Lovers or something like that to go along with it. So we did have some interesting developments over on the New Japan side, and it came off. There were relatively good shows. I got to watch a little bit of each of them. I can't say I watched the entire thing, but what I watched, I enjoyed on that side of everything. So, also, over the weekend, on Saturday, we had NXT TakeOver, which over the weekend, I did not get to any of the reviews. Honestly, I didn't get to TakeOver until Thursday this week. It took me a little bit of time to get to it. I had seen what had been going down, and by that I mean I knew results. I hadn't seen really anything of the matches, so I was kind of surprised when the matches were happening and what we ended up getting on that one. So they started off the show with the tag team title match with Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish going up against the Authors of Pain. This was a pretty good match. Nothing spectacular, nothing crazy. Crowd not too much into it. I did like how they were doing some storytelling about them going after Akam's knee throughout the entire match, which actually cost them the match in the end when they go for the Super Collider. It caused Akam to buckle a little bit, and then he got Hurricane Ronda into Razor, which allowed for the roll of victory. I did like little storytelling elements like that. I thought the match came off pretty good, but it wasn't anything excellent. So this led next to the Velveteen Dream going up against Cassius Ohno. Velveteen Dream basically wearing boxing shorts, doing everything. He's doing everything almost like Rick Rude would do. They're like this time around, going after Cassius Ohno being the knockout artist, so he had boxing shorts, airbrushed, everything on that side. I liked what they did there. He said he was going to get a KO in 30 seconds, which he actually gets a punch that kind of does that. He starts celebrating. He wanted the ref to count him out, do the 10 instead of going for the pinfall, which kind of allowed for the match to go along. Some back and forth between both of them. Velveteen Dream going over with the Purple Rainmaker from this time the Post versus the Ropes to go along with everything. Decent enough match. Yeah, not a bad match on that side of everything. I'm gonna kind of just go over these really quickly in this side because we do have a decent amount to get to today, and we don't want everything to go too terribly long. Also, if if I was going to do a more detailed one, I would have done these a lot sooner on that side of everything. So I'm not going to be doing them right at this point in time to go along with it. Just kind of going over everything. Up next after that was Ember Moon going up against Shayna Baszler for the NXT Women's title. This was a pretty good match. They did that spot again where Shayna Baszler has their arm like on the apron and then kicks their shoulder and arm down. It looks brutal. Like they went into slow motion, and and the way that I guess Ember Moon was selling it or going off with everything, it made her look like she dislocated her arm or shoulder because her arm bent in a really weird way to go along with it. And that was the main focal point for the rest of the match for Shayna Baszler. She would go after the arm. Ember Moon does hit the Eclipse but can't make the cover because of her injured arm, and this led to a pretty long sequence. Honestly, I thought it was a good sequence in the end because it was Shayna Baszler trying to put an arm bar in, and Ember Moon was continually fighting through it, and eventually hits a roll up to get the victory. Afterwards, Shayna Baszler basically chokes out Ember Moon on the rampway to basically show her dominance, which she was pretty much showing throughout the entire match, kind of making it show off that, yeah, you won the match, but you're not really the winner here, to go along with it. So yeah, pretty good match on that one. I thought it came off really good on that side of everything. So after that was Aleister Black going up against Adam Cole, going not for anything, but it was in an Extreme Rules match. So basically to kind of play off the whole Philadelphia and ECW thing. to go along with that. This was not one of those paint by numbers hardcore matches. We'll just leave it at that. Adam Cole bled from his thumb pretty heavily throughout the match. Like, I didn't really see where they taped up his thumb, but at one point it was like it was bleeding, and then next thing you knew, he had a lot of tape kind of on his thumb and everything on that side. The six spots in this one. The one really memorable one was the one where they had two chairs back to back to each other. Not one of those like that they were both facing front and you just kind of slam them through. No, they were back to back with the edges like right here, and then Adam Cole eats like a Death Valley driver or a fireman's carry onto the top of those two chairs. It was brutal. It was not your typical hardcore match that was just like, oh, just do this, break a bunch of different things, and boom, there you go. They were telling a story throughout the entire match, and it came off really good. So this led to the main event after Aleister Black beat Adam Cole with a Black Mass super kick. Well, not super kick, but roundhouse kick. This led to that main event. And that main event, Johnny Gargano and Andrade Cien Almas, was absolutely amazing stuff. I will not go through the spots that they go in there because I don't think it would do like a lot of people are saying, it wouldn't do the story justice that they were telling throughout the entire match. You had a moment where Zelina Vega gets involved. She goes one step too far. She tries to get involved one more time, but Candice LeRae had enough of it, jumps the barricade and basically takes out Zelina Vega, and eventually leading to but it eventually did lead to the aspect of Johnny Gargano losing the match after a hammerlock hangman DDT off of the top rope from Andrade to him. Great match, fantastic match. Honestly, it is probably a match of the year candidate at this point in time, and it also got something. In the terms of people who care about star ratings and everything on that side, a lot of people put a lot of weight towards Dave Meltzer's star ratings and everything that he ends out doing on that side, like how he rates matches, everything on that side. Well, they did something in WWE in this match that WWE has not done in 6 years, which is get a 5-star rating. Basically, well, with the exception of the whole Kenny Omega Okada feud from last year, basically the highest possible rating you can get from his particular star rating, which would be a 5. So it was the first time they had done something like that in WWE since Money in the Bank 2011, which was the CM Punk John Cena match on that side. It was a great aspect of fast-paced action, storytelling to go along with it. It was a fantastic match, probably a match of the year candidate when everything's said and done this year. And I'm not just saying that on WWE side, I'm saying that probably from all promotion side, that's going to be a potential match of the year candidate. So we had a great NXT takeover, and we had a damn good Royal Rumble. This was a very good show. I'm going to kind of gloss over it. I did not see any of the pre-show matches with the exception of Bobby Roode and Mojo Rawley, which was okay on that side. Bobby Roode keeping the U.S. title in the U.S. Open Challenge. They started off the show with the WWE title match. That match was far better than what I thought it was going to be. I thought like you're going to get a bunch of interference from Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan. They played a little controversy towards the end where Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn were trying to make a tag. The tag wasn't made, but Kevin Owens gets pinned anyway on that side. So AJ Styles keeps the WWE title. You had a little backstage segment where Shane McMahon kind of taunts Owens and Zayn. So yeah, not a bad match. In all honesty, I thought that was going to be a I did not think that was going to be a good match on that side. So after that was the Usos going up against Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin, 2 out of 3 falls. This match was okay. It was kind of surprising though. The Usos go over 2 falls to 0 after a decently long first fall and a rather short second fall, where they catch a roll up and basically gain the victory that way on that side. Right after this was the men's Royal Rumble match. What can you say? This was probably one of their better Royal Rumble matches in quite some time on the men's side. This was a very good Royal Rumble. Basically because you couldn't really tell who the real winner was going to be until it actually fully happened on that side of everything. I thought that the final 6 that they had, also with the returns of like Hurricane Helms, and you had Rey Mysterio receive a huge pop coming back and everything on that side, kind of making up for what happened to him in 2014 with the Royal Rumble match. But the final 6, it being Cena, Orton, and Rey Mysterio, and you had this face-off with them 3, and then you had Finn Balor, Roman Reigns, and Shinsuke Nakamura on the other side, so you almost had like an old guard versus new guard thing, and it came off really well. Rey and Orton get eliminated right after this, so that left it for Reigns, Finn, Cena, and Nakamura. Cena gets rid of Finn, and then it looks like you have the whole aspect of the last guy who was considered a company guy and the guy who's the company guy now going up against Shinsuke, and they were kind of going after him a little bit. So you're getting a heel heat on their side. It was good stuff, good storytelling. Nakamura eventually eliminating Cena, and then having a good back and forth with Roman Reigns before eliminating him. And Nakamura ends out winning the Royal Rumble. Honestly, if they would have gone almost any way at that point, the quality that they had of the Rumble match and the stories that they were telling and making and going throughout the entire match, it was going to be a good Rumble match regardless. But the aspect of Nakamura winning, meaning Roman Reigns is probably going to be facing Lesnar, but they're going to get him there a different way, more than likely with the Elimination Chamber down the line here. And it came off really good. It came off really good. It was a really enjoyable Royal Rumble match. After this was Seth Rollins and Jason Jordan going up against The Bar. Basically, they were playing up the... apparently, Jason Jordan's potentially really injured, and it's really bad. He may have a really bad neck injury on that side. So he doesn't really get in the match. He gets beaten up a little bit on the outside. And he finally makes the tag. He kind of waves off the doctors and everything who are checking on him. He makes the tag, gets in, and then immediately tags out because he's all woozy. So kind of playing like a potential concussion or something on that side. So Seth Rollins pretty much worked the entire match and gets beat by The Bar. Sheamus and Cesaro gain the tag team titles for the 4th time on that side. So this led to the Universal title match, which there was really no drama to it. Everybody knew Lesnar was winning. They knew that Kane was going to probably take the pinfall. It was a decent enough match. They broke a lot of things. It was all right. It wasn't anything special. Just really no drama to the match in any way. Lesnar went over with an F5 onto the chair to Kane, and yeah, it was what it was. And the main event of the night, which was the Women's Royal Rumble match. Yes. So now, on that side, you have the first Women's Royal Rumble, and they main event a big 4 pay-per-view to go along with it on that side of everything. Or I guess big 5 now, because they're doing 5 dual-branded pay-per-views next year on that side. So, you know, you had a lot of special entrants in there. The only 2 I was kind of expecting more from NXT side, but they ended up bringing more legends in than they did NXT. The only NXT people we had was Kairi Sane and Ember Moon on that side. They each had a pretty good showing for themselves out there, but you had a lot of legends come in. Lita, Tori Wilson, who was Tori Wilson in there. You had Kelly, Molly Holly. I popped for Molly Holly. Beth Phoenix, Trish Stratus was in there. Michelle McCool was in there. Jacqueline was in there. Vicky Guerrero. You had a lot of special entrants from the Legends side to go along with it. You also had this story of Sasha kind of turning back into her old boss character. Like, she started off completely babyface, everything on that side, and she, being in Wonder Woman gear, everything to go along with it. But the further the match went along, she seemed to get more desperate, got a little bit more mouthy, got a little bit more of the original boss character from NXT to go along with it, even to the point that she snuck up and eliminated Bayley from behind, got rid of her best friend in the match to go along with it. So is that going to be a little bit of story for down the line here? We didn't really see anything on Raw, but you saw her kind of started talking trash to people like Asuka and Trish and all these different things going along. I even liked the aspect that throughout the entire match, anytime someone would get eliminated around Charlotte and Alexa Bliss, Charlotte was just oh, you're gone now. Oh, you're gone now. And then when Sasha eliminates Bayley, she just drops her jaw. It was you just did that? Type bit. And yes, Sasha was considered the Iron Woman in this match. Becky lasted for, it was Sasha and Becky to start off the match. Becky lasted for a little while, but gets eliminated, I'd say about halfway into the match. But Sasha ends up staying within the Rumble for somewhere in the terms of 55 minutes or something like that. Yes, the match went basically as long as the men's match did, and it was a good Rumble. It really was. You had a lot of the tropes that you'd expect of the Royal Rumble. They established an Iron Woman and Sasha going to over 50 minutes. You had Naomi basically save herself like Kofi Kingston would. So she did her, and Kofi's spot this year was amazing as well. I missed that in the men's Rumble, where he kind of he gets caught by Xavier Woods, who had just gotten eliminated by Jinder Mahal, both him and Big E, and then he catches the foot, and then Big E puts the pancakes down. It's and asks the ref, it's would it be okay if he stood on this? It's yeah. And then they launch him into the ring, they catapult him into the ring, and he clears Jinder Mahal on the top rope. It was nuts looking. Naomi's, she walked the barricade, got to the chair, got to one of the chairs, and then basically crawled herself to the to one of the ring steps. It was really good. So the ending of the match came down to Asuka. Well, the final four were Asuka, Sasha, Brie, and Nikki Bella. So you had Sasha fighting Asuka. She goes for the double knees in the corner, but the Bellas eliminate Sasha. So it left Asuka fighting both of them off. But eventually, Nikki turns heel on Brie and eliminates her to go along with it, leaving them two as the final two. And basically the ending was they were both fighting on the ring apron. Asuka gets knocked down to the ring apron, but she ends up kicking Nikki Bella's feet from underneath her, and Nikki gets eliminated, and Asuka ends up winning. So Asuka wins the first Women's Royal Rumble. So you have this spot going in there, and this is going to go into kind of other news and everything for what happened after the match. And so you had Alexa and Charlotte and Asuka in the ring, and then they're playing this up as who's Asuka gonna pick? Who's she gonna go up against at WrestleMania? And then lo and behold, you have music hit in the background, and Ronda Rousey comes out. So let's go ahead and talk about this a little bit now. So apparently, and this one came out just minutes after it happened too. So Ronda Rousey comes out. She starts pointing at the WrestleMania sign, doing all that kind of stuff. She wants to shake Asuka's hand, but Asuka goes to shake it and just slaps it away. No, this is my moment. What are you doing out here? You have the bit of a stare down with Ronda and Stephanie to go along with it. And it really wasn't much of anything outside of that. It was the news that was coming out afterwards. So a lot of people knew the rumors of Ronda Rousey coming in. Just it was like, when was it going to happen? Was it going to happen at the Rumble? Was it going to happen elsewhere? It ends up happening at the Rumble. She flew in from Colombia to get into from her movie set to get to Philadelphia for the Royal Rumble. But the news that came out afterwards was what was a little bit more shocking than what they were, what people were kind of expecting with her coming in. A lot of people were expecting her to kind of get the Brock Lesnar deal. It's like, she works only so many days. She's not going to work house shows, this, and this. And then just minutes after Royal Rumble goes off the air, ESPN basically breaks the news is that she signed, or she is going to sign, maybe she hadn't fully signed yet, but was going to sign a full-time contract with the WWE. So it was one of those things of, wait a minute, she's signing full-time. Does that mean she's going to be doing the house show circuit? Is she going to be doing the, like, what else is she going to be doing? Is she going to be like on the weekly Raws and everything to go along with it? Are we going to be having matches on Raw to go along with everything? I don't expect we're going to get much of anything. We didn't see her on Monday Night Raw this week, mostly because she probably went back over to Colombia to continue shooting the movie she was in. There's still probably certain things she has to do before she's fully in the company to go along with it. But the aspect of her signing a full-time contract was a little bit weird. And it was like, oh, so this is basically what she wants to do. She wants to potentially, like, when they say full-time contract, that means house shows, Raws and all that kind of stuff to go along with it. So it's one of those things, like, it kind of took, it was like, you kind of get taken aback because a lot of people thought, again, she was going to kind of get the Brock Lesnar deal. Only a certain number of dates. She's only going to be for the big pay-per-views, everything on that side. No, she's going in for a full-time contract. It's like, I think the words were like, this is my life now. That WWE was going to be her life, the goal from going forward. So it was one of those things that was kind of weird. Also, the awesome thing about this, and I thought it was awesome just because based off of what they were what ended up being shown, she comes out in Roddy Piper's jacket. Apparently, Roddy's son gave her one of his jackets, and she came out in that. But also, like, her merchandise is like in Roddy Piper font and like coloring and everything to go along with it. I thought it looked pretty cool on that side. But then again, I kind of am also a older wrestling fan who remembers Piper and everything on that side. So, yeah, I thought it looked pretty cool to go along with it. And it'll be interesting to see what her first matches are going to be. What stories are they going to go along with it. And, yeah, it should be an interesting bit. So it does not look like she's going to be going back to the MMA world anytime soon. Speaking of what I was talking about earlier with the Brock Lesnar thing, though, apparently there's a chance that Brock Lesnar, a lot of people were kind of speculating, or not really speculating, but kind of know that Lesnar's contract is up after WrestleMania 34. But apparently there's going to be stuff with Lesnar after WrestleMania 34. And there's the potential of, some of the new, someone, well, not new, but someone coming back to the WWE to be facing him. So at NXT TakeOver, we saw Candice LeRae show up on there. We saw Trevor Ricochet. So Ricochet, they call him Trevor Man, aka Ricochet. And they also have War Machine show up on there. And EC3 showed up on there as well. And the only thing that they really changed about EC3 is that there's a space between the C and the 3. And that was really it on that side. So nothing really So people are not really changing their names. The only one I think is going to get a full-on name change is probably going to be Ricochet on that side of everything. And I think that's so he can end up keeping the rights or something like that going forward if he goes back to the independents at any given time. So bringing that back to this whole Lesnar thing, facing somebody who could be coming back, someone just left Impact Wrestling who had been there for quite some time and had gotten quite good at what they do. And that was Bobby Lashley. Yes, there is a chance that after WrestleMania, apparently, like, I guess there's something in the contract for extra dates or something like this if he gets paid so much, that he could end up facing Lashley in a program after WrestleMania. And that would be a very interesting one, to say the least. Lashley, for those who had not really followed his Impact career, he was also doing some Bellator to go along with it at that time. During that time frame, he had done quite well for himself over in Impact as basically a dominant heel champion. A lot of the stuff that they were doing with him was really good over there. He had recently left during the last set of tapings. He had said his goodbyes, everything on that side, and apparently could be coming back to the WWE. So yes, he is probably not going into a full-time MMA career, like a lot of people are kind of speculating to go along with it. Maybe it's due to age or something to go along with that, or it might be an aspect of money for him. Who knows what it actually is, but there's a good chance that Bobby Lashley is going to come back to the WWE, and there's a chance he's facing Brock Lesnar at some point in time, which I would like to see that. I would like to see that match. I think that would be a good one, especially if Lesnar becomes motivated on that side of everything. And I thought it came off as a, it's one of those bits like reading that, it came off as a bit of a surprise that they would do something like that, and that Lesnar might be doing more dates after WrestleMania 34, and maybe not signing really a new contract, but maybe he had some extra dates or something like that to go through after that time frame. But we'll see how that ends out playing out, or does it play out at all. So now that we've gotten through the news and everything on that side, let's go into Monday Night Raw for January 29th, 2018. This is the fallout from the Royal Rumble pay-per-view itself. And let's be honest, this was a good Raw. This was a fun Raw. It started off with Stephanie McMahon basically talking up the Royal Rumble, everything on that side, and bringing out Asuka to be to basically come out and cut a promo and everything on that side. Asuka does cut most of her promo in Japanese, and then basically points towards the WrestleMania sign, and basically says that WrestleMania she will become champion. Stephanie also, she doesn't pick who she's going to face, and Stephanie ends out announcing the Women's Elimination Chamber match. And the only person that we know is going to be in it at this point in time is Alexa Bliss, because it's going to be for the Raw Women's title. Asuka basically says no one is ready for Asuka, and she gets interrupted by Sasha Banks, who, like I said, from the night before was bringing out that boss character a little bit more. And by boss character, I mean the heel version of the boss character. And was bringing it out a little bit more here again. She gets in the face of Asuka. She wants Asuka in a match that night. Stephanie ends up making the match, and we'll get that a little bit later on, which I will talk about that a little bit later down the line here. They started off by announcing, first of all, 3 matches that were going to be Elimination Chamber qualifying matches. The first of those matches was going to be a last man standing match with Braun Strowman and Kane, and this was basically Braun dominating most of the match. They brawl kind of throughout the entire area, eventually to the point that they get to the announce table area. Braun clears them out, has Kane down, and then flips the entire, not just the announce table, the entire staging on top of Kane, and basically getting rid of Kane to go along with it. And the only thing that I basically could say about this is, like, He flips over an ambulance. He flips over stages. He flips over semi-tractor trailers. It's like, Braun does neat things. He does neat things, and this was another one of those. It was actually a pretty good segment. So you get this little bit throughout the rest of the time that the announcers have no announce table for a little period of time. Matter of fact, they have like 2 monitors on the ground, and the 3 of them just kind of huddled around it for a little bit. And eventually they build an announce table at the ringside area to go along with that. So yeah, pretty good segment. Failed to mention this right off the bat. It was good to hear Coach back on the announce table. So apparently Booker T is leaving the announce table, and now Coachman is coming back, and Booker T's going back to the pre-show on that side of everything. So after all this, Braun gets approached by Kurt Angle backstage. Kurt's kind of yelling at him. It's like, you're going too far, you're going too far. And you had like this little interview with Corey Graves and Braun as well. It's like, what do you expect? It was a last man standing match. I did my job. And then he's like, and then Kurt's like, said, you went too far. Why did you go that route? It's like, you know what? You're right. I could have done more. And basically goes off after that. So after this, we had the second qualifying match, which was going to be Elias going up against Woken Matt Hardy. Of course, Elias sings the song about going to WrestleMania, everything on that side beforehand. Decent stuff, your typical Elias stuff that you're kind of seeing on a weekly basis, people getting behind it, everything to go along with that. This was a decent enough match. Bray Wyatt kind of plays mind games with Matt, which allows Elias to hit the drift away and gain the victory, as Wyatt kind of laughs at Hardy afterwards. So this thing between the two of them is literally about laughter at this point in time to go along with everything. Up next, you had Miz with a promo basically on his match later in the night, and this was more of a, or not later in the night, which ended up being next, which was also in an iPhone variation. We got a couple of these tonight. You had that with The Miz, you had it with Finn Balor, you had it with Cena. You saw a few more of these, and they're doing this a little bit more now on that side of everything. It kind of gives it, what is it? Not as a scripted feel, where you go up to an interviewer or something like that and you cut your promo. Now, granted, probably all those promos are completely scripted, but it kind of gives it a feel of not being scripted. And I think they're learning from their mistake about how much they did it for that 1 week on SmackDown. Now they're kind of, you're seeing it more and more, but you're not seeing it like a lot at once. You're seeing it sporadically throughout the show, and you got it on SmackDown as well. Miz cuts a promo on Roman Reigns and keeping the Intercontinental title that night, which led us into the Miz versus Roman Reigns. This was again a very good match. At one point, Dallas and Axel get chased away by Roman Reigns. They do come back a little bit later to kind of cause the distraction. At one point, you had Miz, like, as the ref was distracted, hits the thumb to the eye and then gets the skull-crushing finale. Gets only the near fall out of it. But he also tries to take off the turnbuckle pad again, but the ref catches him this time. Everything to go on that side. So it looks like Roman's going to win, but Dallas and Axel come back out. And this eventually allows Miz to do a sneaky roll-up and gain the victory. And yes, again, beat Roman Reigns. Yes, Miz keeps the Intercontinental title, but yes, it was not in clean fashion, but he pinned Roman Reigns. It wasn't like, oh, it ends in DQ, everything on that side. No, you got the win. So after this, you had the Revival going up against Heath Slater and Rhino. This was a decent enough match. Didn't really go too terribly long with this one. The Revival do pick up the victory with the Shatter Machine. So yes, it does not look like they're going to be burying the Revival in any way. They picked up apparently they picked up a victory on the pre-show for the Royal Rumble over the Club, and they beat Heath Slater and Rhino here. They cut a promo after the match, basically running down people for living in the past about the about ECW and everything. Though they bring up like the Graham brothers as a tag team, as Charlie Caruso's in there trying to interview them. She has no idea who that is. Everything to go along with it is like, well, those are the people we want to beat. Go learn them or something. They kind of try to get rid of her at that point as they cut their promo. So good promo. I like what they're doing with them. They're playing them up. They're playing them up as these guys that honestly will probably get over the crowd and get them cheering them by cutting these promos, calling themselves professional wrestlers, not sports entertainers, everything on that side. But they're doing this aspect of everything that the WWE doesn't really want from their wrestlers to say. Like, they want them to be called superstars. They don't want them to be called wrestlers. They want them to be called sports entertainers and different things like this. But no, these guys are wrestlers. Just wrestlers. No, and it plays off of their whole thing shtick in NXT. Just no flips, just fist to go along with it. So I like where they're going with this. This is good stuff. After this, you had a Dudley's a Hall of Fame announcement. A Hall of Fame announcement, which ends up being the Dudley Boys going into the Hall of Fame. Kind of fitting. Good they announced in Philly to go along with it, with the factor that a good chunk of their career was done with ECW, everything to go along on that side. So, good announcement on that one. Well deserved on that side because, you know, probably one of the best tag teams of all time in the terms of the heat that they would get during their ECW time. Also on WWE side when they were playing as heels to go along with it. But also played pretty good baby faces as well throughout that time frame. I thought they did some really good stuff. They definitely did a lot of really good stuff. They had a lot of different tag team title reigns and everything on that side. Yeah, well deserved. That's one of those tag teams is like, yeah, they should be in a Hall of Fame in some way, shape, or form. Right after this, you had Finn Balor with his promo on Cena for later in the night. Yes, it was going to be Finn Balor versus John Cena, and that was going to be a qualifying match for the Elimination Chamber, or at least the men's Elimination Chamber on that side. He cut a promo on the match that night. I thought this is good. He comes off so casual. He comes off so like natural within that setting. He had both Gallows and Anderson behind him, and they just were talking about everything on their side of everything. I thought it was a pretty good promo from Finn Balor. After this, you had Sasha Banks with a interview, basically on the match with Asuka, and talking about how she was going to also end out, ending the undefeated streak tonight, and eventually going to gain the Raw Women's title back, everything on that side. So this led into the match with Asuka and Sasha Banks, and well, it's like this was one of those moments that is like, were they told to go out there and just perform almost an NXT style match, or like close to a takeover style match? Because that's what this was. This was a really, really good match from Asuka and from Sasha Banks. They weren't really holding anything back. You had a couple really sick bumps in there. One where it looked like Sasha was going for a dive. Asuka kicks her in the head, and like Sasha just crumbles to the ground, like almost landing on her head to go along with it. It was a really disturbing looking bump. Asuka as well took a bump to the outside where she missed the hip attack and went in between the ropes. So that one could have gone awry as well. And just good teasing throughout the entire match. Good storytelling, good teasing. Kind of teasing the factor of, oh, Sasha could be winning this match. She got the bank statement in. She was in the middle of the ring, everything on that side. And ended out, Asuka would get out of the move each time. Eventually leading to Asuka getting the Asuka lock in and beating Sasha Banks via tap out. Really good match. Highly suggested to go watch this one. It was really good. Up next, you had a Cena promo, which was also done via iPhone, which was basically on his match with Finn that night. Again, like I said, we saw him the 3 times tonight. Each one of them was pretty good as well. They don't come off as great as the whole aspect of them filming them outside of the company or something on that side. But these promos came off pretty good. And like I said, it comes off as a more, not a gritty feel, but just, it comes off as an unscripted feel on that side, because, you know, they're holding their phone in front of them as they're cutting the promo. They're walking around, doing things like that. It's not like, oh, you're in front of this backdrop and you have an interviewer here and everything to go along with it. It just gives a different vibe, a different feel on that side of everything. I actually did it. I enjoy them more now that they got past that whole Royal Rumble thing where they did like 15 of them in one night to go along with everything. That was one of those, like, okay, you're overkilling this over here. But these ones, they were pretty good. I did rather enjoy them. Up next, you had Sheamus and Cesaro defending the tag team titles, going up against Titus O'Neil and Apollo Crews, who had gotten a couple victories over them over the past couple weeks. This is a very good match. Apollo Crews looking fantastic in this match as well. Coming off really, really good. The only thing that you could kind of want from Apollo Crews, now you do get it a little bit more with the Titus Worldwide thing and everything, just more character from the guy. We would like to see fully fleshed out character from Apollo Crews, which we've yet to see. He's kind of been more of the smiley guy, who's very athletic. Cesaro and Sheamus do pick up the victory in the end, but Apollo Crews looked really good in this match. Very good match, very enjoyable match, and good teasing as well of potentially Titus O'Neil and Apollo Crews picking up the victory and getting those tag team titles from Sheamus and Cesaro, but ending out just falling a little bit short. So this led into the main event of the night, which was Finn Balor going up against John Cena. This was an interesting match. Good back and forth between the two of them. I thought it was a very good match from their side. But you get this little aspects throughout the night or throughout the match that Cena's like almost conflicted about not wanting to fully beat Finn Balor. Like he's resonating with the fans. It's like, I know you guys like Finn Balor and don't like me that much, but I'm trying to get the WrestleMania, and that's all I'm trying to do here. I do like the aspect before the first AA, he throws up a too sweet and then does it to him. That was good, a nice little character bit there. And it does eventually take a super AA from John Cena to pick up the victory. I thought it was good stuff. Good stuff here. Finn looked good throughout the match as well, to go along with it. We'll see if this leads into anything more down the line, and maybe a potential heel turn or anything on that side. I don't know where it's going to go. It wouldn't be John Cena, it would be Finn if if anyone turned heel to go along with everything. But overall, very, very, very enjoyable Monday Night Raw. So let's get ourselves into SmackDown Live. That was on January 30th, 2018. It's not a bad SmackDown. It was kind of all over the place, though. And they were kind of building up a lot of story going through this one. And a lot of tension throughout everything. But they also kind of got rid of the tension between Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon to go along with it. You got like a small little aspect of it, but not much of it. So Nakamura starts off the show, and this was okay, I'm going to start with this, like, Monday Night Raw got new graphics, everything on that side. Like, for the names and everything to go along with it. So what do they do on SmackDown? Instead of doing the presentation of that, something like that, maybe with a different variation of the graphics or something, what do they end out doing? There's like, oh, we get these little things going across the screen. Like when Shinsuke comes out and he does his little pose with the rope, all of a sudden Rockstar just flies across the screen. It's like, that was distracting and kind of lame on that side. So you got things like that. You also got, and I'll talk about it now, because I love the promo from the Usos. I thought it was great. So they were talking about how they had the entire tag division on lockdown. But the one weird thing about it is, like, every time they would say a team and they would say lockdown, all of a sudden a jail door would slam across the screen. It's like, again, just looked very tacky. But But overall, that was a good promo. That was a really good promo from the Usos. And then eventually leading to the Bludgeon Brothers coming out, and that's probably going to be the Usos' next program. So back up, so we got through the whole weird graphics thing that they decided to do. Back to Nakamura, who was basically cutting a promo on winning the Rumble, everything on that side, talking about, you know, the people he eliminated, and how he gave Sami Zayn a knee to the face. Cena, knee to face. Roman Reigns, knee to face. And him winning the Royal Rumble, he's, you know, talking about going to WrestleMania. He gets interrupted by Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, who basically bring up what happened to them at the Rumble. And, you know, continuing on with this whole facet of them not, Sami Zayn or Kevin Owens wasn't the legal person, even though he got pinned. They blame the ref, everything on that side. This does eventually bring AJ Styles out, which, you know, I wouldn't say he just brushes it off, but he wants a tag match where so he basically talks about the dream match with Nakamura and himself. But now he wants to have a dream team with him, going up against Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, which they go to leave, they come back, and it's like, oh, so you want this? Nope. And then they leave, and Styles and Nakamura kind of just strike them afterwards. It was a decent enough segment. So right before the Fatal 4-Way match for #1 contendership to Bobby Roode's U.S. title, you had Daniel Bryan backstage. Owens and Zayn go up to him. They start pleading their case of trying to get back into another match, everything on that side, how they were, you know, screwed out of their opportunity at the Royal Rumble. And Shane was like, or not Shane, but Daniel Bryan was like, you know what, I agree with you, but next week we're going to have a #1 contendership match between the two of you. So we're not going to have a handicap match this time around. You two are going to have to fight it out to see who gets a shot at Fastlane for the WWE title. This kind of plays into a few extra things afterwards. So back to that Fatal 4-Way, which ended up being Kofi Kingston, Rusev, Zack Ryder, and Jinder Mahal. Winner gets a #1 contendership match. This is a good match. Good action, good Fatal 4-Way. And Rusev ends up picking up the victory as well. Kind of teasing in like the Stackalade or the double accolade, but he gets stopped on that side by, I believe, Jinder Mahal. To go along with it, you have this whole aspect of Xavier Woods or Big E just kind of throwing pancakes at Corey Graves to go along with it on the outside. Just a lot of, but in the terms of the action of the match itself, I thought came off really good throughout the entire match. I thought it was a rather enjoyable match. Rusev picks up the win with the accolade to Kofi Kingston, and it looks like we're gonna get Rusev going up against Bobby Roode here down the line here, which we got some promos from them a little bit later on as well, on that side of everything. Which again, we're done kind of in that iPhone style. So we're getting like a mix of these iPhone or these like handheld cameras promos and your traditional promos to go along with it. Rusev and Aiden English cut a promo on next week's match with Bobby Roode. Roode retorts. I actually like this. It came off a little bit cheesy, a little bit corny, but I actually kind of like this one. So Bobby Roode has it penciled in that he's facing Rusev on Tuesday, and he has it on February 6th, everything on that side, which will be the actual day. But then he goes like, but when you're a champion like me, and he starts spelling out, because he circles that date, but then he spells out glorious, and basically says it's like your schedule fills up really quickly. I thought it was good. I personally thought it was good. I don't know how many other people did. The Fashion Files were back. So basically they had, you had the Ascension finding Twitter questions for Breezango, and they were starting to go through all this. This eventually has Gable and Benjamin show up, and they were basically, like, what were you guys doing? Oh, the fashion files? Oh, this is still a thing now or something to go along with that? And how they would be, it's like, in his, like, it's like, oh, we have a question for you. Are you ready for Gable and Benjamin tonight? And the answer is like, nope. And Gable himself, I forget what he said to Breezango. Oh yeah, he goes like, no, and he goes like, shh, 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 shh. The answer is, you're not ready. And then it's like they leave, and Gable just flips the table with the computers on it, and they walk out. I thought it was pretty good stuff. So after the whole thing with the Usos and the Bludgeon Brothers meeting up with each other, which is going to lead to probably them having some kind of match down the line, Bludgeon Brothers went up against a couple locals. They destroyed them, doing their typical thing where like, oh, the other guy doesn't want to get in, so you have Eric Rowan just like carry his tag partner over to him and then tags the guy in, and they just beat up both of them. I kind of like where they're going with the Bludgeon Brothers. Not gonna lie, I kind of like where they're going with it. Up next, you had Daniel Bryan basically also doing another iPhone promo on this one. I think he got a little bit more on this one. It was I won't say a little daunting, but it's like they are using this style of promo a little bit more. But he basically announced a top 10 list. And of course they have like with the Mixed Match Challenge, they have these popped up words and everything to go along with it. You got it here as well. And what he's doing is that he's announcing a SmackDown top 10 list where basically the superstars can vote like based off of certain criteria, like being talented or being a good locker room leader, everything on that side, to help Shane and Daniel Bryan create opportunities for people on the show. And then they play it off as like they have nothing to do with it. They want the superstars to do something like this, and they can't vote for themselves. Basically stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with this one. Up next, you had a bit with Shane McMahon and Ty Dillinger. Baron Corbin interrupts as they're talking. This does eventually lead to a match between Corbin and Ty for later on in the night. Up next, you had Charlotte coming out. Charlotte comes out. She basically talks about the Royal Rumble, talks about Ronda Rousey, also talking about like who she's gonna face at WrestleMania. This eventually leads to Ruby Riott and the Riott Squad coming out. This was a good promo from Ruby Riott, talking like how she feels like Charlotte's unoriginal, everything on that side. She's just a knockoff of Ric Flair to play off of everything. I thought it was a good promo from Ruby Riott. She's good on the mic. I mean, she had done some decent stuff on NXT, but I thought this was probably one of the better promos they had. This eventually does have all three of them get into the ring. They do brawl for a little bit. Charlotte gets the upper hand for a little while, but eventually the Riott Squad beat her down. Basically, each of them hit their finishers, everything on that side. As they're going to leave, all of a sudden Carmella dashes out there. So she's going to cash in Money in the Bank. As the referee's about to hand it off, she's going to go for a super kick, and she ends up kicking the referee outside, and she recognizes that she can't get her title opportunity here, or it's not her. Now it's not a best chance for her to get the match, so she ends up leaving to go along with it. But guess what? They're finally teasing the cash in again for Carmella, so maybe kind of reminding you she has that Money in the Bank contract, and we have something down the line here. Up next, you had a backstage segment with Nakamura and Styles. I like how AJ Styles is going in there. He wants to talk strategy for that night, and the only thing that Nakamura can be thinking about is WrestleMania and how he's going to beat AJ Styles. I thought it was good. It's like, and he even looks at the end, it's like, yeah, about me beating you at WrestleMania. Don't worry about tonight. We got this. Just follow my lead. And just walks off. I thought it was good. I thought it was good. Up next, though, you had Aiden English, or not Aiden English, but you had Owens and Zayn backstage. They were cutting a promo, basically talking about their failures over the last couple of weeks, and you can see a little bit of tension starting throughout that time frame in there, and maybe a little bit of tension based off this factor that they have a #1 contendership match the next week on SmackDown. Yet they're teaming here tonight. So good promo, good setup for later on in the night, basically. Up next, you had Gable and Benjamin going up against Breezango. This was a decent enough match. It was kind of quick. Gable and Benjamin do go over, so it looks like they're going to try to keep trying to get them back on track after going down with a 2-0 loss from a Royal Rumble time. But we'll see where everything goes on that side. So this leads us to that main event, which was AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura going up against Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And again, we started seeing that tension build throughout the entire match. So Zayn gets thrown to the outside by Nakamura. So Kevin Owens starts yelling at Sami Zayn. He's like, why aren't you in the corner? I need a tag. And they basically were like, but I was thrown out over here. I hadn't been able to get back to the corner yet. So this eventually has Zayn like, okay, you know, I'm going to just go up here. He goes up to the top of the ramp. Eventually he comes back to save, to make the save, everything on that side. So he gets into the ring, and eventually Sami Zayn gets into the ring. He gains the control, and then Owens is like demanding for a tag, everything on this side. And eventually this just leads to Sami Zayn, you know, eventually when he tags back in, and Owens kind of gets on his case a little bit more again. It's like, you know what? I'm done. We're out. I'm out of here. And he ends out leaving. This does allow for Shinsuke and Nakamura to pick up the victory. Or Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ Styles to pick up the victory. This is a good story leading into next week. Decent enough match. But more was about the story of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And you had Zayn back in the backstage watching, and he basically said, it's like, no, this isn't the end of our friendship, but this is about an opportunity. It's like, I've always been talked about as being Kevin Owens' best friend, everything on that sense, but now I want to be known as WWE champion. So he knows this is about opportunity, and I want my opportunity next week. I want to beat Kevin Owens, and I want to gain that opportunity for the WWE title. So before we go into NXT, which honestly wasn't too terribly much, let's go into the Mixed Match Challenge, which, yes, again, I did catch. This is the third straight week of the Mixed Match Challenge. Of course, it's only one match a week. So it was Sami Zayn and Becky Lynch going up against Braun Strowman and Alexa Bliss. This was fun. This was a fun match. Just like the whole aspect of, you know, Becky and Alexa dominating most of the match, as Zayn was trying to just stay away from Braun as much as he possibly could, I thought was really good. Eventually it does lead to Braun getting his hands on Sami Zayn, throwing him to the outside. He tags in Alexa Bliss, and she ends up beating Becky Lynch to go along with it. But you also have like the crowd singing happy birthday to Becky and everything on that side. And it was a it was a good match. It was a good fun match on that side of everything. The promo from Alexa Bliss and Braun Strowman afterwards was absolutely hilarious. Like, it showed a different side of Braun that most people don't typically see, but it's also like this little pairing between Alexa Bliss and Strowman's bringing something out differently in Strowman, and they're playing like this weird tension between the two of them to go along with that, it. It was well done. We'll just leave it at that. It was well done. I like the pairing of the two of them. I think it came off really good. And yeah, it was one of those bits that it was one of those bits that came off really good. Afterwards, they had I had to watch this one because it came up like on a feed or something like that. It was just the bit of Becky Lynch and Sami Zayn talking about, it's like, what went wrong, everything on this side. It's like, no, it was like we were on the same page. We had a strategy. It's like we ate her birthday cake together, and it was like, oh no, it was too much birthday cake. It was from a local Philly area. That was probably what the problem was. You had like Sami Zayn going like, it was the WWE universe wasn't doing the snapping thing that we were trying to get them to do. But like Becky was like, no, don't blame them on that side. It's like some people can't snap, everything to go along with that. It got to the point, it's like, I'm shocked she kept a straight face that long. But as Becky was going down was trying to cry a little bit, you could just tell she was bending down, just smiling, trying everything not to bust out in laughter to go along with it. She was completely corpsing on that side. It was some good stuff. I like what they're doing with the Mixed Match Challenge. I don't know if WWE views it as a success or anything on that side. They have gone down in viewership on a weekly basis quite substantially. I think it's going to level out at about the 60. In the terms of congruent viewers, it will probably level out somewhere in this 60,000 area, but the first week was like 130,000 at its highest point in the terms of, you know, congruent people watching. Then it went down to 90 something. Now it's down into the 60s. So, well, hopefully it's not one that's like, oh, it's going to like half on it every week or something like that. That would be really bad, because then it would be in the 30s next week. But I don't know if they view it as a success, but it's been fun. That much I can say. That much I can say on that side in the terms of the Mixed Match Challenge. So, this leads us to WWE NXT for January 31st, 2018. This was a very heavy recap show as well, but we did get 3 matches to go along with everything. Yeah, the first match was Nikki Cross going up against Lacey Evans. This was a decent enough match. The action was pretty fast-paced. It was good to see that they're doing something a little bit more with Lacey Evans now on that side. She had kind of just been not really doing much of anything. Like, you knew she was, you know, an ex-Marine, getting into the WWE and everything on that side. She's playing up this whole ladylike character, and now she's playing as a full-on heel, and she wants to just get rid of what she considers the rubbish, the garbage of the NXT women's division on that side. But she ends up picking a fight with Nikki Cross, who ends out basically destroying her in the end, with Nikki Cross picking up the victory on that side of everything. But we'll see if they do anything more with Lacey Evans down the line here. I thought the match itself was pretty decent. Up next was TM61 making their return after last year, or actually it had been more than a year. It's been more than a year since we had last really seen them. They had a couple of video packages over the last week, which ended up being really good on that side. They went up against the Ely brothers. This was basically a squash match, kind of showing that Shane Thorne was back from his knee injury, everything on that side. Honestly, he was moving around pretty good, so it was like he was extremely confident in, you know, his movements and everything on that side. So it didn't look like he was hesitating all that much to go along with it. Apparently, they cut a promo a little bit afterwards, or in the backstage afterwards, where they're not going to be referring to themselves as TM61. They're going to be referring to themselves as the Mighty on that side of everything. So we're going to get a name change with them as well. So it'll be interesting to see what that entails. Is it going to mean a new character set or anything to go along with it? We'll see how that one ends up playing out. And the main event of the night, which, like I said, a lot of this was a very heavy recap from the NXT TakeOver. That's typically what it is after those shows. So, honestly, I kind of just, I had seen NXT TakeOver right before I had seen this. So, it's like, okay, I knew what was going on. So, I was just kind of scrolling through and just getting to the matches on that side of everything. Made it actually a very quick watch this week on that side. Which, the main event was Roderick Strong going up against Tyler Bate, and the winner was going to get a shot at Pete Dunne's United Kingdom title. This was a very good match. Oh, man. Roderick Strong and Tyler Bate put on a really good match here. Very good. It's one of those bits, it's like, you wish they would use these UK guys a little bit more. And now we have seen Tyler Bate a couple times now, but it's been in losing efforts. And actually, he's playing off of that in the terms of his other sides. Like, okay, because Roderick Strong does win this match, using his finisher on Tyler Bate. But he also lost in the first round of 205 Live's Cruiserweight title match, or title tournament, to TJP. So it's like a loss to TJP, a loss to Roderick Strong. It's like, I might need to change something up, which means maybe we're going to get some kind of character change. Apparently, I had not seen a lot of Tyler Bate stuff, but they had this whole British Strong Style group, which was Trent Seven, Tyler Bate, Pete Dunne, which they worked as heels. Where here we've only seen Tyler Bate work the babyface. And I haven't watched a lot of progress or anything on that side, so I don't know exactly how everything goes on that area. All I know is that they worked as heels, and Pete Dunne's pretty much worked a heel during this time, but kind of Trent Seven and Tyler Bate have been working babyface throughout this entire point in time. So we'll see how that one ends up playing off. Like I said, this was a rather enjoyable match. I highly recommend going out and watching the NXT this week. In the terms of the matches, I thought they came off really well on that side of everything, kind of doing what they needed to do, especially with that particular match. It was not really a very heavy story driven match. It was just good action, and it was all you really were looking for this week, because again, after takeovers, it's NXT is always a little bit harder to watch after a takeover, at least for the first week, because they're not really building stories. Though you kind of get, at least they're building for the future on this particular show, where they make a #1 contender for the UK title. But again, you kind of wish they would use these guys a little bit more as well, because you have a lot of good talent there from what I can see. I really do enjoy Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. Trent Seven looks like he's really good. Mark Andrews, from everything I've seen, is really good as well, because I've seen him not only in the UK title tournament, where he did really well, but I've seen him in Impact Wrestling as well. That he was doing good stuff over there. So I'd seen him before, and you have a couple other people that don't even show up anymore. We haven't seen Wolfgang in a long time. They have Joseph Connors as well. From over there. I did watch a little bit of WCPW when it was called WCPW from What Culture Pro Wrestling, and now is known as Defiant Wrestling. I've seen some of that stuff. They had some good stuff going on over there as well. And yeah, I just wish they would use those guys a little bit more often. So that is basically everything this week. We got through a good chunk of stuff, and yeah, it was a fun little episode. I like doing this whole live thing, section of doing the podcast, and then the video goes up a little bit later, and everything on that side. I am still looking for just a full-on audio variation. I don't know if we're going to be able to get that anytime soon. I just don't know. So we'll see how that one ends up playing out. I kind of need to know. I need to do the research, and I said this a while back, and I really haven't done much of it, because I've been trying to do this video game side of everything, which I do on Twitch a little bit more often than I do over here. Also, I failed to mention, if you guys are watching this late into the video, we had live reactions to the Royal Rumble as well. We did to do that. Hopefully I'll be able to do a little bit more of that down the line. I am planning some giveaways as well for the future. I'm hopefully going to have something at least for WrestleMania weekend. Maybe something for both the Elimination Chamber and Backlash, or not Backlash, but Fastlane pay-per-views. I don't know if we're going to have a variation for the wrestling side. And I do have something on the terms of the video game side as well, as a giveaway to go along with everything. If you're interested in any of the video game stuff, it does go up on this channel every now and again. But also I am usually doing it on my Twitch page. Just this past week, we have finished Mario Odyssey. I finally finished Mario Odyssey in the terms of beating the main story, everything on that side. We didn't get all the moons or finish all the challenges or everything on that side. Might go down that route some other time. and kind of just figuring out where I'm going to go next here. I have been practicing very little, not too much, but I've been practicing a bit of Dragon Ball FighterZ, Street Fighter V AE. We'll probably be doing, for people who don't fully know, on that arcade edition variation of Street Fighter V, which I do have some one video for that right now, and I'll probably be putting that up soon. But we are also looking for our next single-player variation as well. And I think we are going to go into Wolfenstein, the Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus, somewhere down the line. Those were the two games that I was kind of looking forward to last year. But in the terms of the single-player stuff, because I'm either doing other things or playing multiplayer games a lot more of the time, I tend to like slack on my single-player games. I want to play Dragon Ball FighterZ story to go along with it. I don't hear it's all that great, but like some of the character interaction is pretty good with everything. So that's kind of what's going on over there. If you are interested in that stuff, I do have a link to my Twitch on the in the description. So if you want to see some gaming side of it, and we also usually do the simulations over on my Twitch page initially beforehand as well, and then we bring it over here to the YouTube channel for pay-per-views as well. So we do things like that. So yeah, that is basically everything for this week in GodSaw's with GodSaw's Turnbuckle. And again, we will see you guys next week. I'll either be filming this on Fridays or Saturdays for the most part. I think I've kind of got myself a definitive schedule of when I'll be filming these things. Usually it's going to be Fridays or Saturdays. So we'll see how that one plays out in the end. I do like the weekly variation versus the doing something for Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. Separate ones, everything on that side. I feel like it makes it feel less daunting doing it this way, even though I do it for a longer set of period of time at once instead of doing it with 3 separate ones. And then also you have potential of takeover reviews and pay-per-view reviews, even though I didn't get to those this week, mostly kind of due to work schedule and how I was feeling throughout the week as well. So yeah, that's kind of how we're going to go with it. I'm going to stick with this whole weekly thing for the time being. I hope you guys enjoy that aspect of it too, because it's kind of everything kind of clumped into one and just go with it. So we'll see how you guys end out liking it. I'm enjoying doing it this way. I'm going to probably stick with it this way for a period of time. If I decide to go back to the old way where I was doing each one separately, we'll see if that does come to fruition down that line, if I so wish to go back that way. But otherwise, I hope you guys enjoyed everything, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and we will see you next week.